There is always one extreme to another when it comes to track layout DNA in how motorsport provides challenges to all that venture onto the tarmac and steel themselves ready for battle. The Autodromo Enzo e Dino Ferrari, more commonly known as Imola, is a tight and technical challenge and will provide thrills and spills over the 60-minute encounter with a mandatory pit stop this very evening. This 4.909km track, based just 40 kilometres east of Bologna, is one of a select few international circuits that run anti-clockwise and was inaugurated as a semi-permanent venue almost 80 years ago and has held the Italian, San Marino and Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix just over half that duration. Sports car racing has also a welcome home here in the Emilia-Romagna region, which sees the best European Le Mans Series racers compete in the 6 hours of Imola. Over its tenure, several parts of the track have been reprofiled in order to comply with ongoing safety requirements, along with the adaptation of how modern-day motorsport has evolved. The legendary Tamburello section saw hefty accidents for both Nelson Piquet and Gerhard Berger in 1987 and 1989 respectively, before the tragic and sudden deaths of both Austria's Roland Ratzenberger and Brazil's Ayrton Senna in the Grand Prix weekend in 1994 that would change the motorsport landscape forever. But for 2021, the final surge towards the conclusion of this GT3 season begins now, as race 9 of 7 heads to this fantastic and challenging circuit which requires precision, commitment, bravado, along with intestinal fortitude. Last time out 2 weeks ago at Spa-Francorchamps, George Boothby extended his championship lead in the Pro class with a third place finish in the Ardennes Forest, having not placed outside of the top 3 all season long so far. This puts him 61 points ahead of closest rival, the Netherlands' Niels van der Kekelt, who 2 weeks ago was unable to attend. However, Dark Sky Racing Sem Spenkelink was able to take a second victory of the season in his Porsche, drawing him ever closer to his countrymen in the battle for second overall, as they are separated by a mere 16 points. The United States' very own Dave Jr. took his best finish of the season, splitting both Spenkelink and Boothby at the finish after what was a dramatic race at Spa-Francorchamps. The semi-pro class is getting tighter as the top, as Patrick Vance leads by just 1 point ahead of Italy's Giorgio Raimondi, with Dennis Werkman a further 7 points adrift, rounding out the top 3. As we had a new winner in the form of Team Rocket the Furious' Tim Neubauer in his Audi last time out. Hello and good evening and welcome everyone to Sim Racing Hub International TV, live for the 7th race of Season 3 for our GT competitors. And your commentator duo, as always, Alex Goldschmidt and Steve Proudly back with you once again. Good evening, Steve. Well, the business end is very much in plain sight, and what a circuit we're at, because this one is going to put the cat amongst the pigeons this evening.
Absolutely, yeah. Imola, fantastic track, and with that fantastic introduction there, Alex, thank you very much. Yeah, steeped in motorsport history, good, bad, sad, a little bit of everything in there. It's a fantastic track. I think we say it every week, but I think I really mean it this week. It's going to be very difficult to overtake here. Lots of very fast flowing corners, very intertangled sections. Get it one wrong on the entry to one and it can throw you out for a couple of corners. Lots of curbs to run wide, but lots of curbs to catch you out. A couple of particularly heavy braking zones, and it's reasonably abrasive on the tyres as well. So we're going to see some strategic driving, I think, tonight with the mandatory pit stop. I think we might see some people, if they do get stuck behind somebody, maybe taking that tactical earlier stop. Who knows? Currently cloudy, not much sunshine around, but more importantly, there's no rain around. A little bit of wind, about 5 kilometres an hour at the moment. So into some of the corners, the braking may be a little bit unbalanced with some of that gusting wind, but we'll see. The boys are out on track. The boys and girls, should I say, they're out on track. They're qualifying. So without further ado, I think we'll head over to the track and see how Mr. Boothby is getting on.
Well, at the moment, Dave Jr. is currently leading qualifying, which has just had over 4 1/4 minutes completed. make that Marcel V in the Bentley. Not been a great season for the Artworks 969, but tonight we have no Sebastian Sorrentino. Clayton Barney is out due to going under heavy braking. His sim rig all of a sudden broke, so he's out for this evening. Not too sure if we're going to have Frans van der Linden with us tonight. He's been having internet troubles, and the biggest news of all, James Warren, the number 1 seed, has decided to opt out for the rest of the season. It's going to be rather interesting over the next 25 minutes as George Boothby makes his way through Variante Alta in the 666. And at this particular point, he won the opening 3 races of the season. He's had 2 seconds and he's had a third. So there's only been 3 race win. There's only been 3 victors. So he's one of them. Van der Kerkelt won at Van der Kerkelt won at Zolder. And Sam Spankelink becomes the only driver on race this season as Boothby heads towards the finish line. And, Van der Kerkelt has just gone 45 thousandths quicker than Mars sponsed instantly with a 1 minute 47.60. Nice team name there, Niels. Covering. It's really, really funny when they make the lighter side out of a situation. Niels and George going into the Sprint Cup Season 3 finale on SimGrid this coming Thursday at Suzuka. So there is a possibility that they might be gunning for that title, but at the moment this is not a team event. This is all for themselves. Bart Svidink goes quickest in the Lexus. Now that's something for the books to write about. The number 12. Now that's a semi-pro car. Bart Svidink, a 1 minute 41.511. And one of these things about this circuit here, Steve, is that it's not all about power. It's all about, as I said, precision, commitment. You've got to also have that dainty touch as well.
Yeah, and don't forget that magic word that we overuse, I think. But it is. You're quite right. You've got to be so precise around here. You've got to get those lines absolutely spot on. As I said in the intro there, get it wrong into one corner and it can really throw you out for 2 or 3. Important to carry as much speed as you can around here because we don't have any really particularly massive horsepower straights. The start-finish straight isn't realistically that long. It's not long enough to really get that magic slipstream. But Boothby is setting the world alight, going 8.5. 7/10 faster. Dave Jr.'s just popped up into second place, but Boothby with now of that 140.6 as we see him and Dave Jr. both going back to the pits there. So they're obviously running very low fuel laps, those guys, and literally just getting the hammer down early on. The track is optimum, so there's plenty of grip out there at the moment. It will still be rubbering in, they will still be getting a little bit better. The times may well come down, but indeed Raimundi goes into second place now. They're just chasing Boothby out there. They're just chasing him down, inching away, but he's still more or less 7/10 clear of anybody else. And as ever, Boothby really, setting his marker out very early in this qualifying session. 22 minutes still to go, but Boothby has really stamped his off.
Yeah, on our screens at the moment, Yannick Vallander currently P5. In the Lamborghini, just over a second off of the pace. Valanduk, best finish so far this season, an 8th place back at the opening round at the Nürburgring. Very, very different artwork from what we normally see. Well, he's done a bit of a BAR tribute livery when they were running with Lucky Strike and 555 on those cars, so a bit of a split. I'm not at all surprised about Raimondi because he's been rather rapid this season anyway, and he's placed in the 3 times this season. A 9th at Misano, a 5th at Barcelona, and Zolder he picked up a 9th place, but Patrick Vance, based on his 5th at the Zolder, picked up a P4, but Raimondi wasn't there for the season opener, so but he still had more consistency with regards to top 10 finishes that will help him. Dennis Bergman also, I'm just seeing where is Werkman at the moment. He's currently 17th behind Bas van Melis in the number 11 Lex, and Koen Septer in the Audi, the number 32 car. He's currently at 12th in the pro standings, 19 points, best results, 9th at Barcelona, 7th at Zolder. But he's had a couple of finishes that have sort of caused him problems. Obviously, Spa-Francorchamps was a race that he will very much want to forget, and another yellow flag situation out on the track as we're about to hit the second third of qualifying. But at the moment, George Boothby, another driver that we need to keep our eye out. P3 at Zolder, pretty much just over 4 weeks ago. So Zimmerman could be factoring into
Alex.
maybe best of the rest.
Yeah, 7/10 up. Sorry to cut in there. Just coming towards the last part of this lap, and he's 6/10 up now. He just lost a little bit of time, but Matt, and on that previous lap, Marcel V, he managed to jump up from round about 11th place up to 2nd place, so he put in a storming lap, although he's still over half a second back from Boothby at the moment. But Zimmerman is going to improve. He's gained a lot of time. This is going to be so a fantastic lap from Zimmerman there, and it doesn't look like he's backing off. It looks like he's got enough fuel in to go again.
Well, Godzilla's out for blood tonight. Very much the driver that we do see in this car, and if memory serves me correctly, he is actually the only one in Pro that runs the Nissan. The other one that actually runs it in this grid will be, if he's on the grid, is the 313. Patrick Treffers currently running in 17th. There's Tim Muris in the number 9 Dynamic Motorsports Honda NSX GT3, currently 11th at the moment, 1.179 seconds off of Boothby, as I've just seen that Jordi Barker has just gone up to P7. That's a brilliant lap from him, and that puts him to just over a 10th behind Bart Svidink. But Giorgio Raimondi in the number 58 Audi currently leading the way for semi-pro. But to be honest with you, I think Raimondi could challenge, if he's got that speed in that Audi. I think he could challenge for a top 3. Not necessarily the overall victory. I think he's got a very good chance of winning the class. But imagine if he could put the cat amongst the pigeons and cause a bit of an upset with people like Marcel V and Simon Zimmerman. But one of the biggest things at the moment, with just nearly over half of the session remaining, Niels van der Kekkel has only managed to get the number 47 Ferrari up to what is now 14th position, because other drivers have made moves up the order. Koen Septer up to 10th, Yannick Valenduk has just gone 11th, Piet Varnier and Tim Muris are all ahead of the number 47. And I think that if Boothby gets away and wins this race, he just needs singly at the front of the field next time out in 2 weeks at Suzuka, and he picks up the Season 3 GT3 title provision.
Yeah, absolutely. Valenduk's just on a hot lap here, and he's green, so he's going to jump a couple of positions, maybe for 8th place. So the down from sort of, if you ignore the Boothby time and you go down, as we just see a couple of cars there going off onto the dirt and looking a little bit second hand, and down the times are really closing up, and the top 11 definitely looking pretty close. It's just that standout time of Boothby at the moment, and we have seen George do that before, haven't we, Alex, where he goes out and he puts an early lap in, improved on it, and nobody else has got near to it. He seems to be able to just come out of the pits and do that.
Yeah, he does. I mean, that's just I've seen that on multiple different races where I've commentated on him. Like he literally puts an absolute flyer in and decides, well, I'm going to put the banker mark down, but I'm going to put such a banker lap in that you're going to have to wonder about how the hell you're going to beat it. And that's exactly what he does. Time in, time out. Zimmerman comes out of his
2/10 up.
To put him on the front row provisionally with 15 minutes and 50 seconds on the clock left in qualifying for round 7 of 9 for the SRHI GT3 third season, and he goes P2, 1 minute 41.004, so he's got to within 3.5 tenths, and that's one thing, at least he's got that hot lap out of the way, because he literally straight lined Tamburello and instantly returned to garage. We go through now to Giorgio Raimondi in the number 58 Pro, the silver, semi-pro 690, and he's actually quicker than Sverink on effectively countback, because Raimondi set the fastest lap out of the pair of them, which is the 1.346 as he comes through Acqua Minerale. So it's you need to be very, very committed coming through that double right there, Steve, because You come through Piratella, sweeping right-hander, go down the incline. You drop from fourth at about 180, 190 down to second gear, and you've literally scrubbed half the speed off. And then it's one of those combination of corners that really does put in a real challenging effort for all the drivers, and they know that when they've nailed it, there'll be a bit of a smirk on their face after they've done that.
Yeah, absolutely. Just looking at Muris now, he's improving again. He's in 14th at the moment, but he's looking to go 2/10 quicker if this lap is valid. In fact, he's actually 3/10 up now, so this could see him well into the top 10 with a 3/10 gain if he can keep this over the line, and it's a good lap. And he's hugging it tight, so it looks like it's valid. He indeed goes up to 7th place. I think that's got to be one of the highest positions we've seen him in qualifying, Alex. I'm not sure if you've got the stats there on that, but from memory, I think it is.
I think, yeah, Tim Muris has been... I think he's factored in the top 10 a couple of times. I'd have to make a complete and utter spreadsheet and a half for wondering about that, but I'm sure that we may be enjoyed a bit like GT4s next week, where Steve will be returning with the one, the only Mr. Tim Fulbrook, because there'll be race 7 of 9 for the second season of GT4 Sprint, which will head to the home of British Motorsport at Silverstone. And then there will be a little bit of a hiatus because we'll have a 4-week break before the penultimate rounds, which will be round 8 for GT3 Sprint Season 3 will be Suzuka, and then Misano for GT4 Sprint Season 2. Also coming up with regards to endurance racing for the Mixed Endurance Championship, we'll have the 12 hours of Bathurst, very much like our own Liqui Moly 12 hours of Bathurst. That will take place on the 5th of June. So keep your eyes peeled for that one. Of course, if you do want to head to our official website, you can go to SRHI.eu, which will have links such as social media, Discord servers, how you can get involved with the community, and so much more. And you can also follow us on the relevant social media. And if you are watching on SRHI TV on YouTube, don't forget to smash that like button, hit the subscribe bell, and hit the subscribe button, and also whilst you're at it, hit the notification bell, because that will inform you of when the next streams are going live. Obviously tiers 1 and 2 get streamed at the same time, but tier 1 is where we provide the broadcast and the commentary courtesy of our good friends over at SimSport Solutions. Marcel V now
3/10
out on track.
3/10
up. Put him on he could be the second driver along with Boothby to go sub 1 minute 41, and now Marcel V comes out of Rivazza, and the Bentley hurtles its way towards the finish line, producing the best part of well over 680 newton meters of torque, 0.303, and he nips second place in the bud by just 40. And so this means, I think Boothby might be bringing that car out again, Steve, and the reason being is that he won't want it to be 0.3 of a second. He'll want it to be more like half a second ahead. And there is Sem Spenkelink in the number 64 Dark Sky Racing Porsche, one of the heaviest cars on the grid without any ballast applied, and that's 1,340 kilos. And we know that Sem Spenkelink, when he's on form, can really get going, but the Porsche does sometimes struggle at certain circuits, and I'm wondering if that's going to be the case tonight here, Steve, at Imola.
Yeah, I mean it can be a good car for the tight stuff, for getting out of the corners quickly. It's got a lot of grunt to get out of the corners, but it does struggle with some of the higher speed stuff and the straight line speed, as we know. But if one man can do it, Spenkelink can do it. I'm surprised to see him down in 39th, and there you go, he's up to 24th. But I still, a little bit of me still expects Sem to be more or less in the top 10, certainly top 15, based on previous pace. He's a trier, and he always makes that Porsche go pretty well in the GT3s, and he's had some good results in it, and we've seen him have some fierce battles. So don't be surprised if he doesn't improve now that he's got a reasonable lap in, because I can assure you that Sem will not be happy with 24th position on the grid at the moment.
No, top 40 and a 42 covered by just over 2.7 seconds. I can confirm that I mentioned him earlier on in the broadcast. Frans van der Linden in the 65 Lexus is on circuit and is currently 39th ahead of Chris Hill. There's Simon Pike from Dynamic Motorsports. He's in the Aston Martin. and that is literally straight line going out of Torza, and decides to park it. As we had a bit of a spinneroonie in the pit lane there. Someone definitely lit up the rear tyres. Ron Eiserif returns championship, the number 3 in semi-pro. The Dutch driver having to sign out, I think, last time for Spa-Francorchamps, and I'm just looking to see where he is at the moment, because Ron Eiserif, best finish from him, opening round of the season. He didn't take part at Silverstone and also at Spa. And Joris Everlijn's there in the number 41 Dynamic Motorsports Honda, coming out of Rivazza. 8 minutes and 56 seconds left to go on the clock. But Boothby with that alien-esque lap time again. Marcel V's kept him on notice, and at the minute Marcel V is in the pits, so is Boothby. Zimmerman at the moment is going through Torza, as Joris Everlijn's trying to do his very best. Arvin Nam in the number 5 team.
He was up.
The Furious Huracan.
Yeah, he was up. He was, until he went off wide there, Alex. I was just going to say he was up, but he just attacked those curbs a little bit too aggressively, and it's unsettled the car and cost him those 2 tenths. And I mean, of course, we are just talking literally of tenths here, as he's given up on us there. One surprise though, and I'm looking for him to rejoin the server, because at the moment Niels van der Kerkel has left the server. He's still showing down in 17th on my broadcasting app, but he's not showing on the leaderboard, so that would suggest that he's out of the server at the moment. So I'm wondering if he's having maybe some hardware issues or internet issues that are causing the lack of pace, because we certainly wouldn't expect to see Niels down there.
Yeah, I'm just keeping an eye on the chat in the Discord server as well. So yeah, it's what happens, because at the end of the day, with regards to the dynamic BOP system here on SRHI, it's sort of like there's first place in the race, so that's probably why Sam Spankelink is where he is. 70 kilos. George Boothby would have 10, so that's for the next race. And yeah, I just it's not great when you see things where a driver's left the server. So whether there have been any technical problems for Niels van der Kerkel, not too sure. But I'm sure that we'll be informed in due course as Tim Cole comes across the line. Best effort from him in this race, in this qualifying session, 1 minute 42.5. That still puts him down in 32nd position, but top 33. Which has got the 737, and
looking at Zimmerman at the minute, he was a tenth up there, but he just hit a little bit of traffic, as you can see, the two of those guys, and I do believe it's cost him that time, so he's backed out of this lap now. The clock is winding down, just over 6 minutes left, but plenty of time for another couple of attacks. And Zimmerman, he had green sectors, he was up, so he's got time in hand, and he'll be looking to at least get back on that front row. He's literally, 0.05 off that front row, and he'll want to Boothby. He'd love that pole position, and I think it's Boothby that he's following round now, so what better car to follow round, although I'm not sure if Boothby is on a hot lap. I think he maybe is, so yeah, if he can follow Boothby, maybe he's going to gain those extra tenth or two. Although having said that, I'm just looking at the timings of Marcel V, who is currently in that second place.
Zimmerman's off and hit the barriers coming out of Tamburello. Whoops.
Well, Marcel V's, and Marcel V's 2 tenths up as well, so potentially 3 tenths up now. He could, unless Boothby improves, he could clean up to beat it this lap, but he's going to get closer, I believe.
Right, Marcel V in the Artworks 969 Bentley coming across towards the line. Oh, that's good. 1 minute 40.683. George Boothby. I'm sorry, I have to say this, you've been Marcel V, but at the moment Boothby is making his way down into Acqua Minerale. Best effort from him so far, a 1 minute 40.503. We've got 4 minutes and 48 seconds on the clock remaining. So Marcel V must be pretty happy with that effort, but still, there is enough time for him to go out and get another hot lap in. Tim Kroll now up into 25th position. in the 933 Lork driving car. And of course, for those that aren't already aware, well, Lork is Kroll spelt backwards. Yeah, good to see that Tim Kroll, one of the many semi-pros out there. Chris Hill, man of banter. We do admit behind the scenes whenever we have a good old catch up with him. Always good to see Chris out there. Chris hasn't had the best results this season, but I'm sure that for season 4 of the Sprint Championship, which will be getting underway a little bit later on this year, that will be the 7th of September, and the first race will be up. You can't have a GT3 Championship without Monza on its calendar. That I very much can assure you of, as more drivers come out of the pit lane. Yellow flags out again. As the minute someone tends to have an incident, the first thing they do is hit the escape button, and it's an instant RTG, return to garage. But Boothby coming through, that is coming out of Corsa. So he's now going to head into the left-hander. So let's see if we can go on board with George Boothby from a driver's view perspective. Because as always, masterful as he is behind the wheel of this Ferrari, he's now got a double yellow coming into Acqua Minerale, which you can actually see just behind the HUD on the top right, where the rear view mirror is effectively being shown. Now down hard into the braking zone, scrubbing off all that speed, going through Variante Alta, and actually keeping it planted in second gear, up to third place now. Up to third gear, and now it's just a couple of corners to go. So we've got the double left at Rivazza. How are his sector times looking at the moment, Steve?
He's looking like he's down on his time, to be honest. He's not going to break any records with this lap, but I think he's going to be setting up now to go, and he's going to gun it, and this possibly will be maybe his last flying lap. He might just get another one in, but I think he's going to gun this one now, and I think we should stay on board and have a full lap commentary from the onboard, Alex.
Yes, indeed. So fifth gear, 264 kilometres an hour, 265, heading into Tamburello, which has become over the years from a sweeping left-hander into a left, right, and left chicane complex. Out of that corner, up to fourth gear, pushing nearly over 220 kilometres an hour, up to fifth, down from fifth to second, going through Villeneuve, up through the power once again, and through the rev range, and then hard on the brakes into Corsa, down to first gear, tight on the apex, allow the car to drift, carry the momentum through, going round to the right, coming out of Corsa, now up the incline, fourth gear, 200 kilometres an hour, up through into the left-hander here at Piratella, down to third, commit to the corner, 170 kilometres an hour coming out of the apex, now down to Acqua Minerale, and Boothby goes through at about 100 he outbrakes himself going into the second part of Acqua Minerale. So that to me says that lap is pretty much one to sweep under the carpet.
He's just over a second down. Yeah, he's over a second.
Plus also having that double waved yellow with that car going off just in front of him didn't really help at all. However, he still has the opportunity for one more flying lap, but with the fact that Marcel V has parked it in the pits, Simon Zimmerman is still out at the moment. We've got less than 60 seconds to go in qualifying. And this is where it could all count, because Boothby now, yellow flags out again, briefly retracted. Boothby now will power across the start-finish line, this 3.9 litre twin-turbo V8 Ferrari, pushing out 552 brake horsepower, 700 Newton meters of torque, heads into Tamburello once again, as we've got 30 on the clock remaining, not much time left, but will Boothby the 1 minute 40.5s this evening in qualifying?
Yeah, he's certainly trying. I mean, the engine was protesting on some of those downshifts, wasn't it? It was almost like the electronic engine protection system was turned off, because those rev peaks when he was dropping it down were making me cringe, let alone the engine strain. But really, hammer to the tongue for Boothby. He's not happy with just being just under 210, pushing as hard as he can. But Marcel V, Zimmerman, a lot of the guys now at the front end rolled down to 6th place, down to Dave Jr., are in the garage, so it's looking like it's potentially challenge over, and it's Boothby's pole position with that time that he set really pretty early on in the session. As we said before, he came out, he's done the job, and he's been running around practicing hot lapping for the rest of the session, and not really looked to be challenged, although Marcel V has done a reasonable job of keeping him pretty honest. As we see, it is out and most of the cars are back in the pits, so this will be Boothby's last lap, and he's not really up. He's maybe, he's got a fraction. We're talking thousandths of a second in it. It's not even a tenth difference either way at the moment, because the difference is showing as 0. So he's going to cross the line. If he's going to improve, it's going to be very, very marginal as he comes across the line. That is going to finish his qualifying session, and it's pole position. He doesn't improve, and he's just showboating there and giving the virtual mechanics a little bit of a repair job before we go back to the grid.
Well, the thing was, his previous lap was just over 20 thousandths quicker. However, the biggest key differentiator, it was invalidated. But still, he had every reason to celebrate. So your pole sitters in both pro and semi-pro this evening. Well, George Boothby putting in he was in the 1 minute 40.6s in the early phase of qualification, but managed to put it on pole with a 1 minute 40.503. Giorgio Raimondi on home soil here at Imola was 4th overall with a 1 minute 41.265. Bart Sverink 2nd in semi-pro and actually rounded out the top 5. The nearest semi-pro driver after that was Jordi Bakker in the 99 Lexus, who starts from 13th position. But it is nearly time to get racing here for round 7 of 9 of the Sim Racing Hub International GT3 Season 3 here in 2021 with Alex Goldschmidt and Steve Crowley, your commentators for tonight. And there is the grid. And what's even more interesting, wind has dropped ever so slightly, Steve. The track temperature has pretty much remained the same. It's optimum. It's 28 degrees Celsius, air temperature 22 degrees, but the clouds look to be hanging around a little bit for the next half an hour or so.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would suggest that maybe with the time of day as well, 3 p.m. conditions of the track are going to change too much regarding temperature. There is a bit of a wind, but that has dropped, as you say there. It's dropped down to 4 kilometres an hour. Overcast, so the sun's not going to come out. But more importantly, it's not forecasting any rain, so it's looking like we're going to have a completely dry race. Pretty good conditions for them to pull out some good laps, and I think we're going to see some fantastic racing this evening. If Marcel V can get away with Boothby, as we know, if Boothby breaks the toe on Marcel V and gets some drive away with this win tonight, but I'm hoping that Marcel V and potentially Zimmerman keep Boothby a little bit honest, keep him under pressure. And what an awesome looking grid we've got tonight with all these cars, around about 40 cars on the grid, so it's going to be action packed because there's not a lot of space left on this circuit tonight, and that is going to play into the race. There's going to overtake, I won't say very quickly, but because of the nature of this track being tight, twisty, and there'll be a few run wides, a few off tracks that might slow a few people down here and there. There is a pace differential obviously between the two people being lapped relatively early in comparison to some of the other races, and that may also affect that battle for the front with Boothby and Marcel V, Zimmerman, Raimondi, Zeewink Jr. They're all in it to win it. So it's going to be I think it's going to be a very good race as ever at SRHI tonight.
Yes, indeed. A total of what is it on the grid? Now, you did say about Niels van der Kekelt. I'm not too sure what's happened, whether he has had a technical problem. Obviously, we did have a little bit of a giggle about his team name on his Ferrari, but besides the point, that now means that Sem Spenkelink, if Niels van der Kekelt is not on that grid, because we're going to go through the grid formation lap, which is now underway. So, leading from pole position, 3 wins this season, 2 seconds and a third. George Boothby on pole position. Alongside will be Marcel V in the 969 Bentley. Simon Zimmerman with the Soul Godzilla from Pro on P3 has got semi-pro pole sitter Giorgio Raimondi in the 58 Audi alongside. Then it's Bart Sverink in the number 12 Lexus with Dave Jr. from the United States of America in the number 10 Mercedes AMG. Martin van der Kraan in the 253 Mercedes has Yannick Valenduk in the 301 Lamborghini. That is row 4. Completing the top 10, it is the returning Matos Marques and Tim Muris in the number 20 Lexus and the number 9 Honda respectively. Conceptor in 11th in the 35 Lamborghini Huracan alongside on row 6. Row 7 it's Jordi Bakker in the 99 Lexus and Pete Vanyer in the 34 Audi. Tom van der Meer in the 888 Lexus, same race number as Craig Lowndes during his Klaas Vester in the number 90 Ferrari alongside van der Meer. Then it's Aaron van Drooinen in the Pro Simric EU 24 Mercedes. It's got Dan Lenson in the 31 Ferrari alongside. Bas van Melis in the number 11 Lexus and Patrick Vanston in the number 777 Lexus complete the top 20. Grid will be as follows. Benjamin Simmons in the 236 Mercedes, Simon Pike in the 13 Aston, Christian Malsharek in the 46 Lamborghini, Dennis Vakman in the 444 Lexus, Tim Nybauer, Tim Cole, Patrick Treffers, Sam Spenkling down in 29th, Anthony Terhorst, Sander Vale, Nard Cox, Wesley Anser, Brent Faver, Frans van der Linden, Joris Evelins, Dimitri Schenk, Ron Eiserif, Pascal Wieser, Chris Hill, and Sebastian Slapek. That is your 41 strong. So, as I feared there, Steve, no Niels van der Kerkel on the grid. That has ramifications galore for the runner-up spot in the championship, with the way that Boothby's leading proceedings coming into this 7th round out of 9.
Yeah, there's lots of drivers there chasing that second spot, and yeah, like I say, with Van der Kerkel not here to gain any points this evening, it really does open it up for the guys to battle hard. But I'm sure none of them really will be focusing on that second spot. I think they'll all be focusing on maybe, you know, taking the battle, as I say, to Boothby, as they're just starting to line up 2 by 2 as the leaders go around the final corner and are going to head onto the start-finish straight, and in anticipation of those lights going green.
A very, very long wait until the green flag waves at the back of the field for us to go racing. So it's SRHI, GT3, Season 3, Round 7 out of 9, here at Autodromo Enzo Idino Ferrari in Imola. Named after the Ferrari himself, Enzo Ferrari, and his son Dino, who tragically passed away at the tender age of 24, and the circuit posthumously named in their honour. It is B on the front row, Zimmerman and Raimondi just behind. Wait for it, hold on to something, grab your popcorn and a beer or two, and get yourselves ready, because the green flag waves. We are off and racing here at Imola, and Boothby already gets a flyer on Marcel V as Zimmerman looking up the inside, going into Tamburello on the Bentley. On this particular occasion, Marcel V keeps it planted round the outside, stays ahead in second position, but Boothby looking to break the toe early. Marcel V and Simon Zimmerman are not letting him go, and Giorgio Raimondi is staying with them.
Yeah, absolutely, pushing hard, but it has to be said, Boothby's is just starting to eke out ever such a slight gap there, and we're only well, just about halfway around the first lap. I think what Marcel V and Zimmerman need to do is just be careful they don't battle too hard. We just see, I think, one of the Mercedes just spinning off there back into the barriers that came out of the hairpin. I think he maybe got a tap, but yeah, I mean, if they battle too hard, then that's just going to leave Boothby to run his own race. He has got a gap of half a second already, but just needs that. Marcel V just needs to try and focus on the back of that Ferrari and close that gap down. But it is expanding all the time, it has to be said, Alex.
Yeah, there was some little bit of like literally the accident involving sign on pitwall.live is just literally lit up like a proverbial Christmas tree at the moment. But drivers making their way through. Boothby still leading, gap now up to nearly 0.8 of a second ahead of Marcel V. Simon Zimmerman, that's 3 different brands in the top 3. Make that 6 when you consider that Raimondi in an Audi, Sverink in the Lexus, and Vanyer in, not Vanyer, sorry, my apologies there, Dave Jr. in the Mercedes. Tom Vandermeer in 15th position in the 888, exactly where he qualified, is being chased down by a Lamborghini. So it looks like Tom Vandermeer might have gotten past Christian Malsharek. He has done. So Malsharek in the number 46 Lamborghini now having to fight back against a semi between them is not much. Just seen that Adam van Drooinen, who started down in 17th position, now up to 14th. Koen Septer up into the top 10. Tim Muris now up a position, having started of the Lexus of Matus Marques in the Mode 11 Racing Lexus RCF, the Slovakian. And then Septer and Arvin Nam are closing in on them, not too far behind Nam by about 0.6 of a second, as this gaggle of cars makes their way through the first and then second parts of Acqua Minerale, and it looks like Marques is trying to go for the offensive, trying to get the inside line, going into Valiante Alta, looking to get the jump on the Lexus. But look at Kuhn Scepter trying to go around the outside, going through in the first part. Oh, and he spins around, he's hit the sausage curbs. Kuhn Scepter has got around. No contact there from what I saw. Oh, Winnoman was not really close enough, and then Kuhn Scepter decides to do a Valtteri Bottas like Bottas did back in Austria last year. But in the meantime, Giorgio Raimondi is holding on ahead of Bart Svidink and Dave Jr.
Yeah, it's all action here this evening, and the boys aren't disappointing us either. They're really, they're battling from the off. They're looking to make up the position while they're all still bunched up, and really attacking every single corner and every position, looking to gain it there. As a little bit of side by side with the Lambo and the Lexus, and just about enough. The Lexus had to really do a bit of a Hamilton over those curbs there, and lost himself a little bit of time. But luckily for him, he hasn't lost the position, and I don't think he'll have damaged the car. He may have lost some pressure in the tyres, however, and runs very deep there, very fast. I think combination of the Lamborghini getting the line wrong and the Lexus going a little bit deep just made that look a little bit worse than it maybe was. But yeah, very hard driving, very hard, it has to be said at this moment in time.
I mean, if that was in real life, I think Tom Van der Meers's coccyx would be screaming out for dear mercy at the moment. But he's managed. And the good thing was at least Malshrek and Van der Beer didn't have a Verstappen Hamilton moment like there was earlier on in the Formula 1 season this year. But Simon Pike, Raimondi, is being pressurised by Sim Racing Holland's Bart Svidink, who's now come under fire. Dave Jr. is right on his case, and the Mercedes looking towards the inside. Now this will give the American the opportunity to go into the double left-hander here at Rivazza, and up the inside goes Dave Jr. Neatly done by the number 10, rocking that awesome Artworks bride of Bart Svidink. So that means that Dave Jr. up into P5, and here comes Yannick Valenduk, as it looks like I think that might be Marques that has just gone into the pit. No, that won't be Marques that has gone into the pit lane. That's one of the other Mode 11 cars. That could be. Maybe Xander Vale, not too sure. But this battle here, Valenduk's just waiting for an opportunity to present itself, as Svidink was looking on the inside going through that corner. But they're not giving any quarter at all. Going through Tamburello, that, you could be on the right part of it at one point, Steve, but then you could be on completely the wrong part of it for somewhere else. But it still gives you that opportunity of a good racing line demonstrated.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the battle as we said, really hard and fast up and down the field at the moment, and it's fantastic racing. I'm not having to look too hard for the battles to follow, but Dave Jr.'s got that position done, and he's looking to try and sort of put a break on those two guys behind him, Zeewink and Valenduk, who are battling pretty hard, it has to be said, and the more they battle, the more it gives him a little bit of headroom to get away. Although it looks like they are just closing that gap up a little bit in the mid-sector of this of the lap. It seems to be, the last sector and first sector where Junior seems to get the lead on, to get the march on them, and just pull that gap out a little bit. Maybe, he's just exploiting the Mercedes power against the Lexus and the Lamborghini.
Yeah, there has been an extensive yellow flag out for the moment. I just noticed it was Dennis Veltman in the 444 Mode 11 car that actually just had a survey drive-through penalty, possibly for infringement on the start phase. But we've got just over 53 minutes left to go. Sem Spenklink has already made his way up from, 30th on, I think it was 29th or 30th on the grid. He's now up to P17. So Spenklink really looking rather racy, and right up ahead he's got Tim Neubauer, who's just been passed by Anthony Terhorst in the number 69 Pro Simrig EU Mercedes. Teammate to the 24 of Adam van Drooyen, who's now up into 12th position. Vanya running out the top 11, just 7 tenths behind Alvin Naam. But Sem Spenklink has really got a wriggle on, and at the moment Spenklink is running in the low 1 minute 45s. But get this, 1 minute 41.082, fastest lap of the race. Marcel V is closing on George Boothby, gap now just over to 7 tenths of a second.
Yep, there is Marcel V. I just noticed that myself as you said it. I was just watching them on the other screen, priming them up, priming them up, getting ready to bring them into the action. And Marcel V closer than he has been since the start, since Boothby got the march on him. But maybe Boothby just made a little bit of a mistake on that last lap. Marcel V has got the Bentley into the operating window, and it's a bit of a wake-up call, I think, for Boothby that Marcel has got some pace, as he's looking like he's getting a little bit racy, which is what we want here, isn't it? We want that gap to come down. We want him to get into the slipstream of that Ferrari and start to really put some pressure on Boothby if we can. Zimmerman in the background looking like they're going to have to, he's just flashing the lights to try and lap a back marker. Maybe that's the back marker that also costs Boothby a bit of time, who knows? Maybe it's just Marcel V's outright pace that's closed that gap down.
Yeah, very much the case. So with 51 minutes and 18 seconds to go, the battle for the lead quite clearly on. George Boothby looking for his 4th victory of the season. Marcel V looking for his first. Oh, now, interestingly enough, Sem Spenkelink has just pulled into the pit lane.
Yep.
Just then, so no signs of any incident or anything.
Strategy.
Yeah, that was what I was thinking there, because effectively that could really change things up and down on its head. Yeah, who knows? It could be very distinctive what happens, because I did see that Tim Nybel was being pounced on by Tim Kroll at that particular moment in time. Is now Dave Jr. coming under fire from Bart Svierdink, but what's more, Giorgio Raimondi has not scarpered away into the distance as previously thought. And there is Yannick Valenduk, who is looking for a pretty solid finish. And at the moment, Valenduk, his best finish so far this season, I did have a look earlier on.
Oh, he's round the outside.
Was that a mistake from Raimondi? Because
no.
Junior just absolutely launched it.
No, he positioned that in the braking zone, and Raimondi left him enough room to do it, and Junior went round the outside of the first part of the chicane to give him the inside for the second part, and great respect from each other. The racing room was there. I don't believe they rubbed door hands, although it looks like Raimondi got left hung out to dry there, and he's lost 3 positions in 2 corners, so it's a little bit disappointing for him, but great racing all round there. Fantastic manoeuvre from Junior there to see him up into 4th place, and it'll be interesting to see now he's got some clear track in front of him. Will he be able to bring those lap times down more into sort of a relative pace of the leaders, and will he be able to close the gap on Zimmerman at all?
Yeah, well, with that also, he's also lost the semi-pro lead. So now that is Matas Marques looking up the inside of the Audi. So, Raimondi not having a good run at the minute, but we've got just 11 minutes of this 60-minute race completed. I'm just keeping an eye on where Sem Spenkelink is at the moment, and he is currently down in 34th position. So he only pitted after, 8 minutes and 51 seconds. So this is where things are going to get rather interesting for everybody. And to be completely honest here, Steve, I think Spenkelink might have pulled a bit of a masterstroke if he can get that car towards the end of the race and towards the front, because that will help him no end, and that will then, for him, it will be a case of taking over second position from Niels van der Kerkelt in what was, with just 2 rounds remaining. Can you believe that? There has been a sudden twist. As I said, the ramifications quite significant. As Boothby now on lap number 8 and has pulled a gap of nearly 2 seconds. And what's more, Steve, he's put in the fastest lap, 1 minute 41.076, as Matas Marques goes side by side with Giorgio Raimondi, heading into the left-hander first part of Tamburello, and he looks to have gotten the move done, but Raimondi tries to keep it around the outside. Matas Marques does the thou shalt not pass manoeuvre there, right there, and right on the back bumper of Raimondi, here comes Tim Muris. Arvin Nama's not yet got past, has just gone off the circuit coming out of the latter part of Tamburello. It looks like Raimondi has definitely fallen down into the clutches of other competitors.
Yeah, absolutely. And just going back to Sem Spenkelink as well with that pit stop, he's just looking on the track map, and you can all follow this on Pitwall Live if you want to go on their server. You can see the same live timings and track map that we're looking at. But yeah, you can see Sem on that track map has come out in some reasonably clear air. He's got a bit of a gap, so he can put some laps in, which will help him just to be able to manage those tyres as well, because he will have to make them tyres last. I mean, it was just about 50 minutes left on the clock when he keep those tyres last the full 50 minutes, but he can do it as long as he can pace himself and he doesn't have to push too hard and get too racy with anybody, and just try and preserve the life of them and just be consistent, put the laps in, and see where it brings you out.
Yeah, definitely. So there is Klaas Wester in the number 90 Ferrari, and he's got Jordi Bumble down. The order Bakker started down in 13th and is just ahead of Patrick Vance. Oh, moment there for Jordi Bakker, and that is also I'm not too sure if that was Koen Sebeen. That is Koen Septer. Another race for him to again. Oh, hard into the barriers goes Klaas Wester, and that might have been the Patrick Vance might have been involved with that one. Oh, within the first 15 minutes. So we've had a massive turnaround. Tim Kroll has now got past Tim Nijboer. So Tim Kroll really on a hunt, and he started 15th position. Well, we've had more twists and turns than the never-ending story, and here at Imola is no different here, Steve Proudley.
Absolutely not, no, like we keep repeating ourselves, but these guys are battling very, very hard for every single position on track. Great to see, pushing hard, mistakes have been made, but fastest laps are also being put in by some of the drivers. We've seen strategy changes from Sem Spenkelink, who's out there trying to do his early pit stop, and I'm going to be intrigued when we hit the half an hour to see where it all shakes out, because it got up to around about 17th at Alex, I think it was. So we'll see where he shakes out in the relative nature of the race once everybody else has started to make their pit stops, and we see all of them start to clear. As you can see, 30th place there, next to his number is a green fill. That shows that he has done his pit stop, so that's what we're looking for. We're looking for all of that column to be green for everyone to have pitted, and that's when we'll see where Sem shakes out into things and see whether that strategy was a masterstroke or whether it was a mistake, and we won't know until round.
Yeah. Frans van der Linden, the second of the sim racing Holland cars, he started down in 36. He wasn't 100%. He said it was more like he might be able to join us this evening, but his ping isn't actually that high. It's looking rather low. So the good thing is that Frans van der Linden up 13 places. Benjamin Simmers in the 236 has got the number 444 of Dennis Wagman just behind, and you can now see there's lots of action happening in front. As that looks to be Dimitri Schenk that's just got past 4 positions. That was a great move around the outside from Dimitri Schenk, and just up the road probably from them will be the likes of Nard Cox. Nard Cox, another race for the Porsche driver to forget. 7 seconds ahead of this battle, and we still have well over 43.5 minutes remaining. If you are enjoying what you're seeing, don't forget to smash the button and also hit the notification bell. And now this is something I thought I'd never be saying, but Sem Spenkelink. Now I'm honest with you there. Sem Spenkelink was trying to get out of the way of Dave Jr. and that was going through Variante Alta. Now I was nearly about to say that Dave Jr. is going to lap Sem Spenkelink. Well, that hasn't quite happened just yet, but let's not forget that the drivers behind Sem Spenkelink at the moment here, Steve, they're all still out. They still haven't made their first mandatory pit stop, and Sem Spenkelink is literally being waved the blue flags. Now Dave Jr., who flashed the headlights at Sem Spenkelink going through Variante Alta, has gotten through. So is Bart Sverink. Yannick Valenduk and Matas Marques are the next ones to do so. This is a race that I think that Sem Spenkelink will just look to get the car home, especially with the amount of ballast he's more than likely carrying on that Porsche. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, that was always the danger when you pit so early into the race in midfield. The leaders have caught him, and you know he's got every right if he's got the pace to stay in front. But it looked like Junior had a bit more pace and was catching him there. But when the pace difference is so slight as well, it always makes it a little bit harder. I don't believe, in my opinion, Sem did anything really sort of too wrong there, I think you were quite right. Junior's under pressure from behind. He was probably trying to hustle and get past, and I believe that if Sem had got through the chicane clean, I think once they'd come out the other side, he would have let him go through. Sem was trying to minimise, obviously, his time loss in doing that, and unfortunately it was one of those things where it just Junior carried a bit more speed through the chicane and they just made a little bit of contact, and it all went a little bit wrong. But that's Junior in 4th place, still under pressure from 5th place, and I don't think he's got the pace to pull away, and I don't think he's got the pace to catch Zimmerman, because I think that gap's actually going outwards. So I think we've definitely got our podium boys are absolutely on fire. Boothby 2 seconds to the clear, Marcel V in 2nd place, and Zimmerman holding that 3rd place. And I think unless something drastic happens, like a big drop off of pace or any incidents, those 3 have got the pace to stay where they are. But with 40 minutes left of this race, anything can happen, and as we've known in the past with SRHI events, something usually does.
I completely relate to that, and I completely agree with that sentiment, Steve. Doing that for a fact, over the last 6 rounds, it hasn't been any different whatsoever. And to be completely honest with you, I wouldn't expect anything less from SRHI. Simon Pike coming under fire. Well, there's one car that's actually just a Mercedes. So Simon Pike running at the top 25 at the moment as we approach the completion of the first third of this race. 20 minutes completed, just 40 minutes on the clock to go. That's the 2:53 of Martin van der Kraan, I believe, and there is another Porsche. That's Nard Gox. Oh, don't try and make that 3 wide going to Villeneuve, please. God, you would have had... I probably might have needed the defibrillator on standby, but Simon Pike goes wide. Nard Till up from what was 41st on the grid. He's now up into 27th position, and if this lot keep battling in front, I mean, Simon Pike's just being passed. I think that is the 808 go through, and that will be Xander Avail that has just got past for position, and Tim Uris closing in on Giorgio Raimondi, and there is Adam van Droonen. And this is the battle for what is now 8th position. So Raimondi has had a bit of a fall from grace. Muris has been keeping it consistent. Van Droonen looking for a very, very solid finish, and hasn't had the best run of luck himself either this season, but he's looking to make amends for it. Not too far behind. Good showing by Pete Vanier in the number 34 Audi. He's 3rd place in semi. Oh, Van Droonen with an audacious move up the inside of Toza on Tim Muris. Good racing respect between the pair. But will the Mercedes have the grunt to get past the Honda heading into Piratella? Not this time, but Van Droonen tries to do the old Nigel Mansell dummy. Swept to the right and then looked to the left. But Muris did not let him go through. Into Aqua Minerale. Now this is where Van Droonen has to watch his braking points, not go into there too harry-carry, and on that particular occasion he manages to get through. Doesn't cause any problems for either himself or Muris on that occasion. But this, in the meantime, has allowed Pete Vanier to close. Christian Malschreck, a real-life racing driver in his own right, as Raimondi goes wide coming out of Variante Alta, and that is going to allow Muris to have the opportunity. Raimondi knows that he's dropped a bit of a clanger there, and now going through into Rivazza. Raimondi makes the rear haunches of that Audi as wide as possible, as Van Droonen was looking around the outside of Muris going into the first part of Rivazza, but it was no good there. Unfortunately, there was no sunshine there, no light at the end of the tunnel for Aaron Van Droonen to get through, as Marcel V pits with 37.5 minutes to go from 2nd position in the race, now releasing Simon Zimmerman in King Godzilla.
Absolutely, and look how close this battle is. The Honda of Muris is really taking it to the Audi of Raimundi and putting him under a lot of pressure. It just, in the slipstream, he just didn't have enough of an edge to get alongside, and he's equally cut Van Drunen's putting him under the pressure with the Mercedes behind. So this is very, very much a 3-way battle, and they are covered by less than a second. With a little bit of an extra large king-size duvet, you could throw it over all 3 of them at this moment in time.
Maybe a queen-size duvet there, Steve.
Yeah, at times, mate. At times, yeah, absolutely.
But we digress. We digress. But it's still been great wall-to-wall action for the past 23.25 minutes here at Imola. Muris still on the hunt to try and get past Raimondi, and if Raimondi keeps on making mistakes, and getting track cuts, there could be a possibility that the Italian could end up in the pit lane with a drive-through penalty. As now Muris gets a real good run coming out of Acqua Minerale. Raimondi off onto the grass. Now he felt a bit aggrieved by that, but now Adam van Droonen shoves his conversation and looked up the inside of Muris going through into Variante Alta. And Raimondi, I don't think he had any right to flash those headlights, and the reason being is that was pretty much a mistake of his own making, and it just allowed Muris to kill two birds with one stone, get past Raimondi when he makes a mistake, but maybe this could give me the opportunity to get past Muris. However, in the picture, you got, now that is for third overall, but what's more, Zvenik is leading the semi-pro class by quite a considerable amount of places, because is now being closed on by Pete Vanya. So Vanya looking to be, so that's going to be Ingolstadt versus Ingolstadt as Vanya goes to the left, and now we head down into Villeneuve. Van Droonen side of Muris on that particular occasion didn't work again for the number 24 Pro Sim Rig EU Mercedes, but Muris from Dynamic Motorsports doing a brilliant job. We've got 35 minutes to go, and my infamous catchphrase is coming out again, Steve. Ladies and gentlemen, you ain't seen nothing yet.
You just ain't seen nothing yet. I nearly burst into song then, but yeah, absolutely fantastic. Absolutely.
Don't do that to us now, Steve.
I'll try not to. And he's really not breaking away. They're coming up against the back markers. They are, I won't say they're hampering him, but they're just costing him a little bit of time as we see the back marker obliging there, getting out of the way. But it's Dave Jr. that in this position that's having to make the headway past the back markers, and that's making it nice and follow him through and keep that gap absolutely minimised, keep Dave Jr. under pressure. And this is going to be a long race for Dave Jr. He's already had 26 minutes of pressure, just another 34 to go, but my word, is he working for that position as well. Contact there on the main screen for Muris. Muris gets turned by Van Droonen. That's such a shame for the battle that was going on there, and it was a really good battle, but Muris he's lighting up the back end there. That's not doing his tyres any good. Van Droonen doing the right thing, waiting, but look at that. Oh, that was a little bit aggressive and a little bit silly, but okay.
He cut across the front of Wesley Vance. They're going into the pit lane. I'm wondering whether there was a little bit of not panic, but a bit of an unsettling of Tim Muris going through the first part of Rivazza, because he put two wheels on the dirt. All of a sudden, that opened the floodgates. So Van Droonen had a right to go for that move, but I think it was just like, that was one of one and 50 of another. I'm going to leave that. Might have been classed as a racing incident, but Aaron Van Droonen did exactly the right thing, and he waited. Okay, that's probably not going to put him in the complete favour of race control. You know, those watching at home, yeah, we might have opinion as commentators, but we're the ones that giving our insight. And to me, that looked, I think, Steve, because Muris just let the door wide open for Van Droonen. We can agree to disagree on that if you like. But if Muris hadn't made the mistake, then Van Droonen won and 500 of the other.
Yeah, I think from Muris' reaction there, as we see Junior head into the pits now, so he's going to jump in now and see if he can get the pit stop and maybe just take some pressure away from himself and get out there. But I think Muris, although his recovery was a little bit aggressive, and maybe he was, he was a little bit aggressive, he cost himself more time by overspinning and cooking those tyres up. But for me, he did the right thing, maybe in the wrong way, by pitting, because he's well within the pit window, so he came across to the pits, he went down there because that was going to minimise the time, because obviously if he'd tried to carry on with the lap and actually had to get back up to speed, it would have cost him more time than going for the pit stop. So he's minimised the time he's lost. But yeah, he was really lucky not to be caught up in a big incident there, and I think, I hope he comes on, corrects me if I'm wrong, but there was maybe a little bit of red mist there, just in that manoeuvre. But yeah, for the racing incident, as it were, I didn't really see the initial contact. But yes, we won't disagree on it. I just won't have an opinion on that one at the minute.
It's fine. We'll leave that one very much firmly in the hands of Dave Jr. Will exit out of the pits, and Van Droonen's in the pits. Zimmerman is 6.9 seconds behind George Boothby, who literally has cantered away into the distance like Black Beauty. even though his car is bright Fiorano red. He's currently leading by 7 seconds, and we're now on to lap number 18. But Simon Zimmerman looking
just going to touch on the
best finish.
I was just going to sorry to interrupt, Alex. Just there, what it surprised me, and I think it's just the nature of the track. We saw running in 4th place, exiting the pits. Yes, 4th place. He was a good few seconds off the podium position of 3rd, but he came out of the pits there, and he literally got a couple of corners away. He's only a couple of corners ahead of Zimmerman, who's in 2nd place. So that's how long a pit stop takes you at Imola. You know, it's a good 3/4 of a lap in the pits at least. Well, near enough 3/4 of a lap in the pit, so the pit stops do cost you a lot of time. So with that incident that Muri's had, I will be really interested to see what damage that actually has done for him, and where he comes out and where he shakes out into the grand scheme of things, as we're starting to see a few more guys get those green marks next to their name to say they've done the pits. We've got Marcel V down in 17th, we've got Zewink in 13th, so yeah, it's all starting to shake up a little bit, and there's a few surprises there. I mean, Marcel V down climbing the leaderboard now up to 15th, but Zewink in the pits is just ahead of him. I think Marcel V is going to get that position back by the looks of it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that Zewink was P3 if memory serves me correctly. So
Yeah.
now going up the order, because Matthias Marquez and Anthony Terhorst have now pitted. Boothby now has decided to pit just after the halfway mark, so this is now going to give the lead to Simon Zimmerman. Giorgio Raimondi qualified in 4th position. He's back exactly where he started, but he's yet to serve his mandatory pit stop. Patrick Treffers and Klaus Wessler in the pits. Got Visa and Hill, the last 2 drivers in there. As you can see, Patrick Treffers about to make his way out in that very bright fluorescent green Godzilla Nissan GTR. Marcel V is definitely getting that Bentley well and truly up to speed, and that is Xander Vale just up ahead in the Mode 11 Lexus, and Malsharek has now pitted from what was P7. Boothby's going to come out of the pits, but he'll be within the top 10, but more than likely I would imagine that depending on how quickly Marcel V negotiates Rivazza, which he's just doing now, into the firstly there through the apex, he's going to get a bit of a tow here from Xander Vale, so that will allow him to close up. But there is George Boothby out of the pit lane and heading into Tamburello, so he will be ahead of Marcel V. Vale and Demian de Kaiser get out of the way in terms of their pit stop strategy. Then Marcel V will have a little bit of distance between himself and George Boothby, and at the moment Marcel V, let's just keep an eye, well, Marcel V is 12.3 seconds behind George Boothby, and that's a telling signal. Mistake there going into Toza from Marcel V. 2 wheels on the dusty grass on the right hand side. That is not going to help his lap time, and that's not going to help his consistency, as he's going to try and get that Boatley, even though it's not wet here at Imola. Still cloudy overhead with a 2 km/h wind, so the wind has dropped, so not much of a side wind, tailwind or headwind around this circuit, but still rather cloudy overhead. 27 degrees track temperature, optimum track conditions, so the track will evolve, and as the fuel loads lighten, the drivers will get quicker, as Chris Hill pits from 18th position. Great race from him so far, having started 41st on the grid earlier on. And yep, there's Tom van der Meer down in as Chris Hill is still in the pit lane. Well, he's actually making his way towards the exit of the pit lane, so Chris Hill will drop a couple of places or so. But it's been 6.5 minutes to go. So at the moment, your leader, as Patrick Treffers goes up the inside of Vevera there in the 737 Ferrari. So Simon Zimmerman on lap number 20 of this race leads at the moment, but has yet to make his first pit stop. Then we have the number 11, that is Bas van Melis, who is leading the way in terms of, I think, the semi-pro class at the minute, as Treffers and Vevera go through Piratella and down into Acqua Minerale. Tim Kroll has had a good race as well here, Steve. Starting down in 28th, gets as high as 14th, and now pulls it into the pit lane with just under 26 minutes to go.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a few guys having a good race, but one who isn't is Sam Spenklink down in 23rd. That strategy really hasn't helped him at all. As we've seen, most of the guys, if not all the guys, have now pretty much completed the pit stops nearly. But yeah, Spenklink really, that strategy call, I understand why he did it, but it just hasn't worked out for him on this occasion. I think getting lapped by the leaders and getting caught up with the traffic lapping him, that really just cost him his lap times, and it's cost him those places. I believe he was up to around about 17th, and he's now down in 23rd. So unlucky for sure. He'll keep battling hard to the end of the race, as he always does. But Boothby, commanding drive this evening. He's well out in the lead. Well, he will be well out in the lead once Zimmerman pits, but we've just got the Valenduck, who's in second place. He's now in the pits, so that's going to promote Boothby back up to second, and he'll be behind Zimmerman, who has yet to complete his pit stop. So I would say Boothby is going to be back into the lead very soon, and he's going to have a comfortable lead.
Yeah, Boothby's running in the 1 minute 42.1s. Zimmerman's still running in the 1:41.9s. So good pace from the Nissan Zimmerman as he comes out of Rivazza, and he's going to stay out. Oh, so he's going to play the long game, as Valenduck and Van Melis have now pitted. That means here at this race, and Zana Vale in the 8:08 started down in 31st position. But he still has a pit stop to make. Demian de Kaiser as well. And the thing is that when Zondervale and Wieser in the 1:45, that's Pascal Wieser, when they pit, that will then unlock Bart Sverink and put him back into the lead of semi-pro, as Giorgio Raimondi battling away with Pete Varnier. This is for position. And this is for 11th on the road as they come out of Tamburello. Run wide again from Raimondi. He's making... that was actually out of Villeneuve. And then Malchuk...
Oh, there was a send.
The inside of the Audi going through Tosa. Oh, hang on a second. There's been contact between the pair. Savagna's been turned around by Malchuk, I believe. The pair look to have come together. And Giorgio Raimondi... I thought I saw that Malchuk was launching it up the inside of Varnier, and it looks like the pair have come together, and that has spelt disaster for Pete Varnier, who was looking good, maybe this very evening.
Yep, 2 went in, 1 came out. That wasn't. It was a full send, was that? He came from a long way back, and it was never going to stick. And unfortunately, yeah, bit of contact there, and the result was more or less inevitable, as we just seen. Weezer just going in for his pit stop from 5th place now, so he's going to clear that pits, and that's going to leave just, I think, is it 2 cars, I believe, that need to make their pit stops now.
Zondervale and Pascal Wieser in the pits. Simon Zimmerman is still out, and there's still 22.5 minutes remaining. Right, the window of opportunity on the fact that when Boothby's doing 1 minute 41.4s and Zimmerman's doing 1:41.9s, the gap between them is about 64 seconds. So it is dependent on how quickly, and it looks like Zimmerman's coming into the pits. I've got a feeling that he has, because his lap time was showing a 2:01. So that says to me, yes, leaders now in the pits with 22 minutes on the clock. And I'm now going to pick up where Boothby is at the moment, and Boothby is coming out of Variante Alta and now heading towards Rivazza. So Boothby will get the lead as he negotiates his way. 23, the lead, normal business will be resumed with George Boothby. Zimmerman yet to come out of the pits from what I've seen on the timing screen, and there is Boothby. Where is Zimmerman is the more interesting question here, because it looks like Zimmerman's on lap number 23. And is Zimmerman still in the pits here, Steve, or is he making his way out? Oh, there he is.
Yeah, he's just exiting the pits there. I thought I'd show you rather than tell you, but yeah, he just exiting there. So he's dropped down from that lead, and Boothby, like I said, he's comfortably out there. But at the moment, the top 3 are looking pretty comfortable. I'm just waiting for the timing tower to shake out a little bit, as we see Boothby there. He's 11 seconds up the road. But what that does, Marcel V, you can see him there in the picture. He's very, very close still to Zimmerman. We could yet have a battle for that second spot on the podium, and it's going to be good to see. I think Marcel V may be able to close that gap to Zimmerman. He's been showing some good pace. His lap times aren't too far away, so we'll see how Zimmerman reacts coming out of the pits, getting those tyres up to working temperature, getting the brakes sorted out, get them up to temperature, and more importantly get back into the rhythm, because sometimes when you do the pit stop it can break your rhythm and it can take a lap to get going again. So this is Marcel V's big opportunity to try and close that gap down if he can. He is a fair way back at the minute, but it's 1.7. Just remember that number, 1.7 over the next couple of laps. Let's see if it gets bigger or smaller, Alex.
Yeah, very, very much the case. We have 20 minutes on the clock remaining. Racing Hub International GT3 action, and we'll have a couple more rounds after this. We'll be heading to Suzuka for our next round in about 4 weeks' time with GT4 Week, and that will be at Silverstone for their 7th round out of 9. But Simon Zimmerman 12 seconds behind George Boothby, and I've just seen that Marcel V has started chipping away at that gap. There he is, and that gap now is 1.5 seconds. So Simon Zimmerman over the next 19.25 minutes is going to have to battle tooth and nail with Marcel V if he wants to hang on to what would be his best performance of this season. Put it on second on the grid. Well, he put it, oh, now there's one of the back markers that has just spun around and has just gotten in the way of one of the Pulse Motorsport Lexuses, which looks to be either the likes of maybe Roddy Barker or Patrick Vanstop amongst others. Is doing his level best to try and close on Simon Zimmerman, but the gap has now gone up to 1.631 seconds. Wiggle on right now, as that is the number 25, I believe. That is of I think that is the Aston Martin that's just getting out of the way. No, that's the number 13, my apologies. That's Simon Pike that has just gone out of the way for Simon Zimmerman, and now he releases Marcel V. So
yeah, be interesting to see what the legs are like on the Bentley now. He's got some clear track. Can Marcel close that gap down to Zimmerman? But Zimmerman be fully aware he'll be watching that gap like we are. He'll have one eye on that gap, but he'll be concentrating on putting those laps in, and it'd be interesting to see what the lap times are. And it's a 1:41.6 and a 1:41.9 respectively for Zimmerman, and Marcel LV seem to get held up a little bit by the back marker, but he's going to be pushing hard.
Yeah, pushing hard right up until the checkered flag. So 17.5 minutes still to go in this race. For those watching at home, who's your money on for tonight? Who's going to win in Pro? And who is going to win in Semi-Pro? Well, we'll find out, because there is still time on the board to decide that. Arvin Nam is being closed in on by Giorgio Raimondi. And Audi versus the Lamborghini. Same engine drivetrain that they've got in these cars, but then Raimondi trying to plant it around the outside of Tamburello on Arvin Nam. All of a sudden Raimondi does the old Matthias Ekstrom manoeuvre there. He's going to have to give the place back to Arvin Nam, because that was a definite track cut, and Arvin Nam, if he does not get past because that would be the sporting thing to do. So that was advantage by track limits exceeding.
There you go.
And there we go. Raimondi goes, but that now allows him to be the Audi meat in a Lamborghini sandwich, because right behind him it's another 5.2 litre naturally aspirated V10 engine, and this time it's another Lamborghini, and it's Christian Malsharek in the number 40, looking to do his level best to try and get past. Oh, that's going through into that.
He's lost it.
Raimondi spins it. Raimondi spins it, going through the first part of Aqua Minerale. Bad to worse, and he's just been collected. Was there a little bit of contact from Pete Vanya as he tried to spin that car around? And there is Tim Neibauer, who took the victory last time out at Spa. He's seething right now.
Yeah, and he's going to have to gather his thoughts and just go a bit steady, because spinning it around twice like that's going to put some extra heat into those tyres, and it's going to maybe just copy half a lap until things settle down again. Also, he's obviously got to get his concentration and his focus back and just try and regain some of them positions. He's not had the best time we've seen him. He's been battling hard and been battling fair. He gave that position back when because he completed the overtake off the track. But every time he places Alex, it's probably going to be a race he wants to write off. As we see him now, he's been as high up as around about 5th or 6th place. Now he's down to 15th. So one to forget for a Monday.
Yeah, and to be completely honest with you, I'm just having a look at the I would expect that with the way things are now, where is Dennis Velkman? Right down at the back end of the field. Patrick Vonst has had a bit of a forget. He's currently P25, but the way things are going now, Bart Sverink currently 14th in the standings, and he's placed no higher than 19th back at Silverstone. Bart Sverink for Sim Racing Holland is currently P4. This could, I mean, I'm just looking at all these different permutations. Pete Vanier, 7th, could possibly be up to where Tim Nybauer will be. And maybe even, we could see an even closer fight for semi-pro heading into Suzuka on the 16th, on the 15th of June. I think that the way things are, pro is so unstable, as we've got yellow flags. Someone has been off the track, and that would have been coming through Tamburello. So I think semi-pro could go all the way down to the wire come Suzuka and Hungaroring, which will be our last two rounds. The 15th of June for Suzuka and the 29th of June for Hungaroring. And that's like the circuit here at Imola. Good showing by Dan Lenson in the number 31, who started down in 22nd position, now 16th, and is ahead of Adam van Drooyen, who's trying to get his way past. And just ahead of them is Raimondi. And now the blue flag's starting to wave, and Raimondi's doing the old psych out trick of he's put all the headlights on, including the front fog lights on that front bumper, to psych out the opposition ahead, which would be the likes of Van Mellis, who's just been passed by Nybauer. Nybauer is now up into 13th place. It's really getting rather interesting here, Steve, because we don't know how this race is going to unfold over the next 12 and a half minutes. But the biggest thing is that we know that Boothby, with a 13.1 second lead over Simon Zimmerman, is going to be, I think he's going to be too far ahead for the likes of Van der Kekkel and for Spenkelink to catch him. So I think he's got one hand on that championship virtual trophy.
I think he's got two hands on it, to be honest, Alex. I think he just maybe hasn't got quite the tight grip he wants. He's definitely pretty much got it in the bag, especially with barring any major catastrophe. And it's we know what sort of a driver Boothby is. He goes for the win when he can, but we also know that he can be measured a little bit further down the field sometimes, and he'll go for those points. So he will come out, and if he's not on pole position, if he's battling in the shall we say in the top, somewhere in the top 10 where he always is, and he'll think about the finish. He won't push too hard. He'll push for the places, but if the opportunities aren't there, he won't try and force them. He'll bring that car home for the points. So I think pretty much Boothby's pretty much got it in the bag. But the rest of the championships and the battles that are going on are absolutely fantastic, and that's one of the before the race this evening was that it's always interesting to see the likes of Sem Spenkelink, Tim Kroll, Valenduk Jr., Marcel, other names that I haven't mentioned. You get a mixture in the top 10 all the time, and sometimes they're out of the top 10, but that allows somebody else to be in the top 10, and it's a real mix-up sometimes of results. Nothing is predictable within this race. These guys, they turn up, they're in a position. The man at the top, Boothby, is pretty much the only predictable thing on track, and I mean that in the nicest way, because these guys battle so hard that they win and lose a lot.
Yeah, there's Yannick Valenduk still battling away with Matthias Marques. Yellow flags out on the circuit once again. We've got Boothby now has extended his lead by, what is it? It's now 13.7 seconds. Dan Lenson still in 16th behind Giorgio Raimondi. Adam van Drooyen and Tim Muris back into battle once again, but this time the roles are slightly reversed as the Honda gets the toe. Heading into Tamburello on the Mercedes. Muris looking to slingshot up the inside of Van Drooyen and gets it done, because Van Drooyen decided, well, I'm not going to try and do that one. There was a car off to the left, to the other side of Tamburello, and I think that might have been possibly the... there was one car that was probably more than likely Ron Eiserif that was off just out on the outskirts of the exit of Tamburello. 9.5 minutes to go. So at the minute, Boothby leads by 13.7 seconds ahead of Zimmerman. Marcel V rounds out the top 3. Bart Svidink rounds out the top 4, and more importantly, is leading in semi-pro at this particular moment in time. So just to give you an inclination as to who have won semi-pro races so far this season. So Patrick Vance took the opening one at the Nürburgring with a 5th place finish. At Misano, it was Raimondi 9th. And I think it was a top 10 finish for Tim Kroll that saw him take these semi-pro honours at Silverstone. Then we had Barcelona. Again, it was Raimondi. But then came Patrick Vance at Zolder before Tim Neubauer made it another different victor this season in semi-pro by taking a 5th at the iconic Spa-Francorchamps. It's not done yet. There's still time. There's still time to go for it. As now Muris has the boot on the other foot, so to speak, as Van Druynen is closing up on the back bumper of the Honda, and he's looking to do the same thing. Thinks better of it because it's yellow flags. You can't overtake there, and that is still Ron Iserleaf's car is still beached on the outskirts of Tamburello, I believe.
Yeah, maybe.
That is his car.
Maybe the escape to pits isn't working for him, and he's beached properly on the in the sand trap there. Just Dr. Gloggy's lad is making the championship so dull with his consistency, with a laughy emoji. He's not making it dull, mate. He's just so bloody good, and it's always good to see him. It's always good to see the times he puts in, and you know he's leaving nothing behind other than the opposition. He's putting it all out there on the track, and he's racing hard. And even when he's got those big gaps, his lap times are still there. He still pushes, and he is still pushing with 7 minutes to go. He's still, he's maybe not giving it 10 tenths, but he's definitely not resting on his laurels, as it were. But he just gives everybody else on track something to aim for. They want to catch Mr. Boothby. I was hoping Marcel or Zimmerman had the pace tonight to do something about it, but as ever, once Boothby broke that toe, got sort of 7 tenths down the road, he was never really coming back to them. We saw a glimmer of hope when I think Boothby maybe got held up with a back marker or something, but Marcel V closed that gap down ever so slightly, got it down to about 7 tenths again, but then George just does what he does and puts the foot down and puts the laps in and extended that gap out, and he's leading by 14 seconds now with 6.5 minutes left on the clock. Zimmerman in second place, that 14 seconds back, with Marcel V a further 5 seconds back in third place. So the top 3 have been pretty stagnant throughout the race, doing what they need to do to bring it home for the podium and for the more importantly for the points. So great racing again from everybody involved.
Yeah, again we go back to this battle. Once bitten, twice shy. They're going through Toza between Tim Muris and Adam Van Druynen. They're battling over 17th possession, and still Dan Lenson in the 31 Ferrari has not yet gotten away from the pairing. 5 minutes and 50 still to go, and it is anyone's guess what is going to happen over the next few moments. There is a Dynamic Motorsports car just up ahead, and that is the number 7 getting out of the way. I think, yeah, that's Chris Hill, who after a very good start, he's had a better race in the first half this time. I don't think he's had any other choice but to get out of the way and let everyone else go hammer and tongs like these two are right now, because Van Druynen closing on Muris once again. The torque output, the Mercedes has 106 Newton meters of torque advantage on the Honda, but the Honda, through the twisty stuff, has, with that mid-engine car, a 3.5 litre twin turbo V6, the smallest displacement on the grid, and you've got also the Nissan, the Ferrari, and as well, being just under a shade under 4 litres. Now, he's got a bit of an interesting dilemma, has Tim Muris here, Steve, because It's either I defend against Aaron van Droonen or I set my sights on Dan Lenson and leave the door open for the guy behind.
Droynen's not afraid to show his nose if there's a door left open, and yeah, Meuris will be very, very much aware of that, but he needs to focus on that car in front. He needs to put the pressure on Lenson to try and get that position, which will then take the pressure away from him. You know, that's what he needs to do. If he starts defending, then the pressure's just going to stay there, and Lenson's going to get away from him. But what he must do, if he feels he can make a move on Lenson, it's got to be decisive. It can't be half-hearted. If he goes for it, he's got to get the move done, because if he doesn't, it's going to cost him time, and Van Droonen's going to take advantage. We can see Van Droonen is literally up his bumper, to right. He's going to try go around the outside. We've seen him do that before, but he couldn't do it on Meuris this time. Didn't quite have enough overspeed, and Meuris didn't really need to defend that. Forced Van Droonen to fall in behind, but Van Droonen is really taking the race to Meuris now, as we see there, just using all of the curb, really trying to stay tight. Now what Van Droonen's doing now is Meuris, Van Droonen the inside. This is going to be a drag race. Mercedes against Honda now on the start finish. Who's got the legs here? No slipstream, just out and out power. Who's your money on, Alex?
It's going to be Van Droonen. He's got the car planted where he needs to, and there we go, into Tamburello. Van Droonen just nailed it perfectly. Oh, bit of bumping between the pair. Oh, little clash, and that means that both of them spin out. Oh my goodness, it's happened again, and it's happened with just under 3 minutes to go. Van Droonen made sure that he stayed as far away from Tim Meuris as humanly possible going through Rivazza, and you know what? Tim Meuris has not waited, so that will definitely fall today. Van Droonen planted that car. He did everything right, and then all of a sudden, as soon as we got some door panel bashing, I went, what happens? Straight away, the left front clashes of the Honda clashes with the adjacent side on that Mercedes, and all of a sudden Aaron Van battling for position as well, and it was a good position nevertheless. So that's twice that's happened. I cannot believe it.
I can tell you've got your head in your hands there, Alex, and yeah, it's
I have.
It's just it's what happens sometimes with racing, and you know, to be fair to them, they're in a high-speed part of the track. They're going into a relatively heavy braking zone. They're side by side. We don't know what they're using, whether it be triple monitor, maybe an excuse that you know they didn't quite see. The track goes off slightly to the left before it goes into the full curve left, and you know, as we saw, Referenda and Russell, you know, there was contact there, and you know, I don't want to say it's very similar, because I don't think either of them really moved across intentionally on the other, directly left. One went to the left and the other one didn't. He just kept his wheel straight and it caused the contact. But there was more than one contact, wasn't there? I think that was the disappointing thing. There was you know, it was. Aaron's just come in the chat and said, "I feel like Bottas." So unlucky. I mean, we really feel for you, mate. But yeah, good, absolutely gutted. We were watching that one live.
We're gutted for the pair of them, actually. Said and done, George Boothby is on his 35th and final lap of this race. It has been nothing but perfection for the 666 Ferrari. Will effectively secure him the title with 2 rounds to go, provisionally speaking. Will have covered a total of nearly 172 kilometres of racing from lights out, not including the formation lap, as we've got another yellow out on the circuit. But George Boothby out of Variante Alta for the 35th and final time. A consummate gap between him and Simon Zimmerman in the number 21 Nismo GTR GT3. It has been one evening for George Boothby to remember. It's win number 4 out of 7. And pretty much you can guarantee that he nearly ended up in the pit lane there. George Boothby ends up taking the checkered flag and wins here at Imola. And what's more, it's in the prancing horse. Simon Zimmerman did his level best. It's his best finish of the season. A third last time out at Spa-Francorchamps. He will take second. And it's a welcome return to the podium after so much length of waiting,
Running out of fuel.
Well, is he? Oh no! Oh, you're kidding me! Marcel V has just stopped on the pit straight. He has. I think he has. Oh my goodness, that car has just stopped. You know what that means? Bottas Vidding not only wins the semi-pro class, he's also taken 3rd overall ahead of Dave Jr., who takes another top 5 finish in as many rounds.
Oh, absolutely gutted. Everyone's
5th place.
Yeah, they're all coming past him now, absolutely gutting. Another head-in-hand moment for you, Alex, there.
I think it's more like a few choice words from Marcel V, to be honest with you. That's a real shame, because Arvin Nalm now crosses line. Pete Varnyer takes the runner-up spot in semi-pro, and with it takes 8th position, hangs on ahead of Anthony Terhorst. Tim Kroll takes 3rd in semi-pro. Christian Malschreck in 11th, Bas van Mellis, Tim Nyboer as a little bit of after eights there, after dinner, my lord. But George Boothby, absolutely unbeatable. Him and that Ferrari, it is man and machine as one after 35 laps of racing. I think we can pretty much say unequivocally George Boothby has completed his mission impossible, and that was to win season 3. And I think once that's all been confirmed, I think he'll be just going out there and just having a bit of fun out on circuit.
Yeah, for sure. It's a fantastic drive from him throughout the championship so far. So I mean, no one can take that away from him. It's been awesome display throughout. He doesn't sort of let anything go to his head when he gets out in front. He's always controlled, he's always measured. We see very few mistakes, and he just does what he needs to do consistently, and does it very well. Just going to put the highlights on there, while hopefully we're going to get some drivers in very shortly to have a chat with, and it's going to be interesting to see who for that conversation.
Yes, indeed, and we take a look back over what has been a rather exciting to actually have someone to speak to, because right on cue, let's bring him in, our winner for round 7 out of 9. Let's bring in George Boothby. George, firstly, mate, congratulations. Pole position. We knew that Simon and Marcel were going to come after you, but you still put in a 140.5, and then it was just like a Sunday afternoon cruise, wasn't it?
Yeah, it went really well, because say the Ferrari, it struggles around here a bit, especially with all the curbs. It's not too friendly. So you've got to also with the setup as well, you've got to run quite a scary setup to get any pace out of it, because the safer you make it, the time just goes. So yeah, the race itself was quite comfortable in terms of how far ahead I was, but every lap it was like, when you do an advanced driving course and you have all those drift wheels on the car. It was a really fun race, and congrats to the other guys as well on the podium. Zimmerman, especially with the Nissan, going really fast. His pace was crazy in that car.
I mean, especially when that's his second top 3 in as many races. Obviously, where we saw that Sem, secured his second victory of the season after a good run at Barcelona. But obviously, it's you've now got other things to concentrate on. Obviously, we return in 4 weeks to Suzuka for the penultimate race of the season, a track that Ferraris always tend to go with. You must be feeling pretty happy, because myself and Steve, we were just thinking it's the George Boothby show, but the good thing was you didn't get much screen time because everyone else was at Imola.
Yeah, I didn't really have any major dramas, so but yeah, next race, Suzuka, looking forward to it. I've got to say it's quite a good track with Ferrari, so and I do like that track, so hopefully we'll have a really good race there.
Yeah, and also we want to wish you, and this coming Thursday, obviously the Sprint Cup Season 3 finale at Suzuka. You guys are in the hunt. We want to wish you all the very best of luck for Thursday.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Alright, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. George Boothby, your race victor in Pro from this run. I mean, he's just such a happy-go-lucky lad, isn't he, George? Steve, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, he's a great unity. He turns up. He does what he needs to do. He's very polite, very courteous in the interviews. He's very respectful to all his competitors and SRHI, and he just gets the job done. He's so efficient with what he does, and that's the thing when he's talking to you in the interviews. It's although he'll say there's been a few issues here and there, a few things to test him and try him. He never sounds like he's been under pressure, does he? He's very, very calm and collected with his.
Yeah, very, very much the case. We'll just give it another couple of minutes, see if anyone does decide to join us in the commentary box. But just to give you a little bit of a refresher ahead of what's going to be happening. Season 2, well, hang on a second, actually, interestingly timed. Hi now on to Aaron van der Oynen. Good evening, buddy. To be honest with you, I think we know what the elephant in the room is going to be. We'll get onto that in a minute. But honestly, a pretty solid qualifying. I know you were very close in terms of mid pack, but you got up into the top 10 pretty quickly, Aaron. Muris, as they say in the UK, once bitten, twice shy, and I think it was a real shame with the second incident. But just tell us about it through your perspective.
Well, at the last quarter, Tim went wide, so I took my chances. I sent it into the inside, and I don't know who was at fault, if he came across to me or me going too wide. So I tapped his back, and I thought, I will wait. So sportsmanship, and the second spin, I don't think we can point any fingers. It's just bad luck, and a bit like our Bottas and Russell.
Yeah, well, Steve actually mentioned that on the stream when you said that you felt like Valtteri Bottas, but still to have pretty good pace in the car. The Mercedes does have its strengths here at Imola. Obviously, Suzuka will be a bit more suited to the Mercedes, won't it?
Yeah, exactly. Especially at the tight chicane at Imola, the brakes to not bump into another car, because the Merc is so fast over there, and especially Suzuka. I'm looking forward to it because it's one of my favorite tracks, and looking forward to it.
Aaron, good to so are we, mate. I mean, we're looking forward to seeing you back a bit stronger than before, 4 weeks' time. So thanks for dropping by and having a chat with us.
Okay, no problem, and thanks.
Okay, also joining us, best finish of the season. You've done it again, Simon. Congratulations. A third last time out at Spa, and you got third. You're one step away from getting that victory, but George Boothby made it very, very difficult all evening long, didn't he?
Hey, good evening, guys. I was not expecting to go his pace, to be honest. I did my own setup for the Nissan, and Imola, I was like cursing every quali lap at Imola because the curbs, oh man. I've given each one of those yellow sausage things a name that I... Jesus.
Why am I not surprised about that comment?
Like, I set the car up just to eat the curves, and it somehow it worked. I was surprised it worked, and the tires held up, and I did my usual after work boring strategy, which was basically I saw that Raimondi was he was fast, but I knew I could pull away, put more fuel in it, have a boring race on my own, and if the Nissan actually didn't shred its tires, and I was surprised actually when Marcel pitted early, and I thought, wow, could get an edge on him, and was surprised when I came out despite a bad pit stop in front of him, and then obviously with fresh tires and little fuel could pull away. I mean, I'm really happy. First place still eludes me. I thought it didn't rain at the end, because it's had a setup for when it stopped raining, but it didn't, and then they had a spin and went 7th. But I'll keep fighting for first place, obviously.
pressure's holding up as well. I mean, especially with all those sausage curbs, because as a race goes on, you know, sometimes you go over one of those sausage curbs that that you've particularly given nicknames to every single one that you've whacked and gone, well, that can't be repeated. Did that affect the tyre pressures or the handling of the car in any way?
In other tracks, if you touch the grass, like at Bathurst, for instance, to the Nissan, you lose 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 even, and it keeps on going. You'll just lose. And here, it doesn't seem to, at least with this setup, with this car, doesn't seem to affect the pressure. So I was like really, really happy, and the conditions were glad for P2. Like, yeah, happy.
Well, Simon, congratulations. Obviously, 3rd at Zolder, 7th at Spa, and now it's going to be a good track for the Nissan, I think. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah, me too. I haven't been driving there for months. Let's see. I hope so too.
Well, you've got plenty of time to practice. So, Simon Zimmerman, congratulations on finishing 2nd overall here tonight at Imola. Well done, and we'll see you in 4 weeks here for GT3.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night. Bye.
You too. So, a big thank you to everyone joining us in the interview booth room. So, George Boothby, Simon Zimmerman, and Adam van Drooinen, amongst others. Don't forget, you don't have to wait long, 7 days, for GT4 Season 2, as we will head to Silverstone. So, Tim Fulbrook and Steve Proudley will be your official commentators, and then our next race after that will be race 3 of the Mixed Endurance Championship, and that will be at Mount Panorama, so Bathurst in New South Wales in Australia, just over 6.3 kilometres in length, and it's once around the clock, so 12 hours. And then we here at Season 3 GT3 will return for the penultimate round of the season. That's 4 weeks from now at the Suzuka International Racing Course, originally known as Matsusaka. So, Steve, your final thoughts after what has been an absolutely brilliant, entertaining evening of racing here on Sim Racing Hub International TV.
Yeah, some fantastic racing up and down the grid tonight. We George Boothby obviously drove away, stole the race from under everybody's nose as usual. But everybody else, there were some good battles right down the field, and we managed to show quite a lot of battling from cars that don't always feature in the top 10. You know, it was good to spread that coverage where possible, because we always like to bring you the top action, and we will always bring you the top action because that's what coverage is all about. It's getting those battles. Yeah, tonight we were able to spread that coverage far and wide, and it just went to show what the racing really is like here at SRHI. Fantastic from 1st to 40th, wherever you are on the grid, you will get a battle. So great race to watch again.
Well, that concludes the action here at Sim Racing Hub International TV. Round 7 in the books for Season 3 GT3. So we say ciao to Imola, and we'll see you in 4 weeks' time for the resumption of the real business end of Season 3, Round 8 of 9 at Suzuka in 4 weeks' time. So on behalf of myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and Steve Proudley, it's good night for now. Thank you for watching.